Like, hey, I got wife, I got kids, I got this, I got that. I can't just sit around and fight the government all day.
Welcome to GOA's State of the Second podcast. My name is John, and today we're joined by Michael Cox from Cox Arms. Michael, how the heck are you today, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you being on. We've known each other for a few years now.
Yep.
It's great. We love supporting small businesses like yourself. You guys are trying to grow, and it's great to see it. So, Michael, go ahead and give who you are, a little backstory about yourself real quick, and then we're going to jump into this.
Okay, so I'm just Michael Cox from Cox Arms USA. We specialize in the AR-15 platform currently. We got into this thing because we were a brick and mortar dealer for about 15 years. And, every time that we would see a tragedy or whatever excuse, we would see the quality of the firearms that we were selling in our brick and mortar go down, but the prices would go up. And on the last one, when COVID hit, it got really bad, especially in the AR-15 world. It became ridiculous where, as a dealer, we couldn't even get the guns. And when we did get the guns, we were paying retail to get them in the store. And they would fall apart in a box. You know what I mean? So I just said, hey, look, we can do this better, and we can give the customer what they actually pay for, or more. And that's kind of how it all came to be, man. It was a deal out of just pure frustration of, we're selling customers things that are just garbage, and that's how we ended up here.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard your story a number of times, and it is true that you guys make some real high quality product. I know you have a attention to detail that is way more than most. Some may say that you're on the spectrum a little bit. Your wife might say that, but
yeah, probably.
But no, you guys make a high quality product. So we're gonna get into this a little bit. We're gonna hop into a section, but before I do that, we gotta thank one of our sponsors. So as a thank you for being on here, AAC and Palmetto has sponsored our gift for all our guests. So that you'll be getting a gift card from AAC and Palmetto here shortly after the show.
Awesome.
We'll get you all hooked up with that. So again, thank you
Fantastic.
to Cameron and the people over at PSA for sponsoring the show and helping all our guests out with a nice little surprise.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, thank you very much. Appreciate
that. Over to you. So we're going to hop into our first section, that is rapid fire questions. That's where I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You answer them as quickly, quickly, or as long as you want to. This segment of the show is brought to you by Blackout Coffee. Check out GOA's No Compromise blend from Blackout Coffee. Get your caffeine addiction from Blackout Coffee. You can find them on our website as well as at Blackout Coffee. Make sure to get that No Compromise roast. It's really good. So, Michael, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You answer them as quickly or as shortly as you want. So, let's go with, what content do you watch most on YouTube?
Definitely gun content. Yeah.
What is your EDC?
It's 1911. I guess I'm, yeah. Sorry. Single stack 1911, 4 1/4. I'm good to go.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Do you like pineapple on pizza?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fine with me. I don't care. I'm a fat kid. Whatever, man. Just bring it.
If you could go back in time and change history, would you?
That's a good question. I don't have a good answer for that because, off the cusp, absolutely. Yeah, I want to change some things, but you don't know what the ripple effect would be. So I don't have a solid answer for that.
That's a good answer, though. I get a lot of yes or no's, or some people are like, no, history is the way it is for the reason it is, but it's a good answer. What is your favorite patch or sticker you've gotten from a show?
Man, it sounds like I'm sucking up if I answer this. I love the Save a Pup from the GOA patch. Sorry, man. Yeah, I really dig that one.
That's not sucking up. That's a great patch. Everybody should love that patch.
Love that patch. So, yeah, I dig that patch.
Yeah. No, that's one of my favorite patches. I've had that patch before I worked for GOA, and it has been a staple of everywhere I go. Is gets the Save a Pup patch.
Yeah,
it's a good answer. Well, that wraps up our rapid fire question. Again, thank you to Blackout Coffee for sponsoring that. Make sure, again, to go to GOA or to Blackout Coffee to get that no compromise roast. Put a little bit of freedom into your morning with the no compromise roast from Blackout Coffee. So let's talk a little bit about Cox Arms. You guys make the AR-15, but it's one of the best, highest quality AR-15s I've ever put my hands on. It competes with bigger names that are the same price as yours. What attention to detail, and why do you put such an attention to detail into all your rifles that you put out?
The short answer is pretty simple for me. It's they're fun, right? I mean, any shooting sport is fun, but at the end of the day, for me personally, it's just a personal thing. They're a tool and it's meant to do one thing. And I want to make sure that if you reach for my tool, the tool that you get from us, it works. And, I hope the day never comes that I find out that somebody needed, one of our weapons and it doesn't work when it's supposed to. I don't know how I'd live with that. So that's why it is the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, first off, the guns are beautiful. You hand Cerakote all of them.
Yeah.
You do a lot of attention to detail on not only the Cerakote. I've seen your throwaway pile.
Yeah.
Most people will go, oh, that's good. No, you are very, very going, if this is not right, this isn't right. And even to the smallest of blem, you get rid of. And that's something that a lot of companies, and again, a lot of companies just don't do. It's like, all right, well, I can get that out and get it out quickly. You take the time and effort to go through every single piece, every single part, hand check everything. If you haven't shot one of his guns, you need to go shoot one. They are probably the flattest shooting AR-15s I've ever shot in my life. I don't know what voodoo magic you've put into that gun, but it is crazy insane. I met Michael, was it 3 years ago now? Something like that. You met Steve.
3 or 4.
You met Steve.
Yeah,
Mr. Big Kid.
Yeah, Mr. Big Kid. Yeah, that's kind of how it all started really for us was Mr. Big Kid. He lived down the road from us and he came in one day and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, and he had one of your guns. He brought it out to, we went to the range the one day, brought it out, and he let us shoot it. And I was like, that's insane. Even it's got a little message on the inside.
Yeah.
Where the bolt carrier group goes back and forth. And it's the attention to details on that. But you guys started off, and this is because I want to give your story, because it's a great story. You started off as a brick and mortar in Queen Creek, Arizona,
yeah.
And to say that your shop was small in the back, I remember coming over to see you guys, and you had the retail store in the front, and then we go in the back, and you had 3 or 4 machines back there running, and you guys have kind of grown a little bit since then.
A little, not too crazy as far as like machines and stuff like that, but we needed more space and just things like that. So we have grown. We are growing organically, so it's not like that rapid fire overnight kind of sensation kind of thing, but it's good. It hadn't been bad.
Yeah,
so.
And so you went from just an idea into this full process of building out all these rifles, building a company. What you sparked the idea from COVID and the quality of guns going down, and you're just like, I'm gonna build a better gun.
Yeah, it's not that hard, It at the end of the day, it's not that hard. And yeah, I mean, I know that sometimes my scrap pile seems a little ridiculous, and it's ridiculous to me too. And the bigger companies are bigger companies because they probably don't do some of the dumb stuff I do, which is throw away perfectly good product, But for me, in life, there's a lot of gray area, but there's never gray area in right or wrong. It's either right or it's wrong. There is no in between. And if I take your money from you, I need to know that at nighttime I can sleep because I did the best I could. Does that mean that I'm perfect and nothing ever slips by? Absolutely not. I screw up. I'm human. But I think the bigger, more important part of that is how fast do you fix it? So if we have a problem, that's why we have our lifetime guarantee on it. And, there's a little bit of a caveat to that, right? I have to A, be alive, and B, we have to be in business. But as long as I am and we're around, if you have one of our firearms, I don't care who broke it. I don't care what the fault is. I just don't care. I ran a 300 blackout through my 5.56. Just send it back. I'll fix it. And to me, that's just the way things should be done. Not necessarily the best financial decision to do it that way, but that is the way that I feel, that I can sleep at night and we do right by the customer.
Yeah. I mean, we had a talk. You said at one point that you would, if somebody shot out their barrel, you'd replace it and you'd hang that barrel on the wall, show how much people have shot your gun. Is that still?
I can't think of better advertisement, man. I honest to God, I mean, hey, shoot it out, send it back to me. I'll proudly put you a new barrel in there, and we'll put your picture up next to your barrel and pay homage to you every morning, when we come into the shop, So, because if you're out there shooting enough to shoot through the barrel and shoot the barrel out, we can't pay for that kind of advertising.
No, you're looking at 30, 40,000 rounds.
Yeah. So rock and roll, man. You deserve a new barrel.
And that's what I appreciate about you. You're a very honest guy. You're very truthworthy. You have your stance of what's right and wrong. A lot of people will build a product and go, they got to get it out as fast as possible. You take the time and the effort to go through every single thing, and people look at you. And I know we've had this conversation, but we look at Michael. You got to get things out faster. Or, Michael, you got to do this. And you just don't. You don't fault. You're gonna know if it's not right, it's not right.
Yeah, and
that's something I'm proud to say that I appreciate that about you, because a lot of people will go, I'm gonna get the product out as fast as I can, and you're like, no, it's got to be right. And if it's not right, I don't want to. It's your name on the gun. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's Athena Arms.
Yeah.
But it's Cox Arms. It's got your name on it, and that is your legacy, your stamp of approval. And it is. It's one of those things where not a lot of people would do that.
Yeah, we do get pushed back on our wait times. Our lead times are a little long, and I understand that. And especially today, I'm a little older. I didn't grow up with the internet and like that instant gratification kind of thing. So it's probably not as bad for me as it is for some. But I do get it, guys. And especially, if you're paying a few $1,000s for a gun, you want it and you want it now. And I get that. I really do. But there's only so much I can do. And, like I said, if it's not right, it's not right. And I would rather you wait an extra couple of weeks, to get your gun, and know that I did my best to give you that gun, as opposed to hurrying up and satisfying your need to be, satisfied right now, but I'm not 100% sure. I could have filed that a little better. I could have done this a little better, things like that. So that's the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, guys, I've never had an AR so tight. I've never had an AR that doesn't shake or rattle. That's the quality you're getting with Michael's guns. They're built and they're tight and they don't rattle and they don't shake and they shoot flat, and it's insane. So you started off with your billet rifle series, which was what you first did. Now you launched the EMR.
Yeah.
And what if, for people who are listening to this who might not, what is the EMR?
The EMR stands for Every Man's Rifle, and it's our kind of it's not an entry level by any means, and it's not really a budget friendly. It's just a solid foundation gun, and Are there things in it that you could, if you wanted to, upgrade it? Yeah, sure. But the fundamentals of what you would normally, if you buy a 500, 300, $800 rifle, the things that most people would do, charging handle, trigger, handguard, things like that. We've already included those things, right? So you got an ambi safety, you got an ambi charging, you've got a high end or a higher end bulk carrier group already in it. The trigger is phenomenal for that price point gun. So if a guy didn't want to do anything, and COVID's a good example of this. We had a brick and mortar store, and we had people walking in, lines of people, literally lines. We had never had lines in our store before, and we had lines of people buying guns during COVID, and it was nothing to get 3 a day, 2, 3 a day of people going, I can't believe I'm buying a gun. I don't like guns. I just never thought I would have a gun. So you're going to have those people, right, that realize that, hey, the government's not coming to save you. At the end of the day, it's all on you. So if you wanted to buy our foundation gun, the EMR, and you never wanted to do anything to it, just leave it alone. It's good. It's a solid foundation gun. You don't need to do anything else to it. And it's at a price point that we feel is more than fair for what you're getting. But eventually a guy, if they stay in the shooting world, and they kind of take to it and they just stay with it, all of us end up in the $2,000, $3,000 price tag eventually, right? Now, maybe you didn't spend all that on one gun right out of the gate, but I promise you, once you add up all the parts you bought, you ended up there.
Yeah.
So,
oh, just trust me, you end up there real fast.
Yeah, real fast. So
once you go trigger, handguard, charging handle, barrel,
it happens real quick. And we've talked about this before, where when you start doing that and you kind of piecemeal your gun together, sometimes you'll run into problems where there's tolerance issues. All of us, if anyone's manufacturing an AR-15, I don't care who it is or what their brand is, we're all manufacturing to a set of specs. Each one of us decides what specs in there we're going to stay on the fat end of it, or we're going to stay on the small end of it. Are we going to push the limits on one end or the other? And, so if you buy a bolt carrier group from this guy and a barrel from someone else, and your buddy John did it, and it works phenomenal in his gun, but I put it in my gun, it doesn't work so good, and people will very quickly decide that, oh, that bolt carrier group is garbage, or that barrel is garbage, or whatever. And that's usually not the case. Usually what it is it's just a tolerance stacking issue where those two particular parts don't play nice. So for us having the higher end gun, obviously we're machining to our tolerances. On our EMR, which is an $1,100 gun, we're machining to our tolerances, so we don't have to worry about it so much.
Yeah, and that's something people don't understand. We talked a couple weeks ago with somebody. We're talking about AR-10s, and we're like, there's no standardization in the AR-10, and people don't understand that there's your bolt might be on the high end and your barrel might be on the high end, and you're going to have tolerance stacking issues. Well, if your bolt's on the high end and your barrel's on the low end, then you might not have those issues. And once you get those issues, you go, oh, it's this piece's fault or it's that piece's fault, where really what it is just tolerance stacking.
Yeah.
And I used to run into that all the time, where people would call in and go, I've got issues with this and that, and you might have to try this or you might have to try that.
Yeah.
So
and that's a hard pill for some people to swallow.
Yeah.
If they're not in that world and they're definitely not in the machining type world, that's a hard pill to swallow. because hey, I paid you X amount of money, and it worked in my buddy's gun, and I got one. It doesn't work in my gun, and you come to find out they have either different uppers, or they have a different barrel, or whatever. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you brought up COVID, and the number of people came in who were like, "I'm never going to be a gun buyer. Now I want a gun." It's just, we saw that something upwards of 20 or 30 million new gun owners just over COVID. And the big thing that I want to get out to the people who are new gun owners, or people who are current gun owners and watching this is, we did a few months ago at the time of this releasing, we won the election. We got the House and we got the Senate. And most of the time when we get those, we got the House, the Senate, the presidency, we got everything. And us as gun owners, we go, oh, phew, okay. We don't have the Dems in. They're not going to do gun control. We can just sit back and relax. Mm. Well, now's the time to be vocal about it. You got to get out there. You got to go talk. You got to pressure. We literally have, if you think about it in real time space, we got a year. It's not two because the Senate race, the midterm Senate race, you got a year.
Yeah.
Because after that first year into the second year, they're already prepping for their Senate race.
Yeah.
So now is the time to get with your senator, your congressman, your everybody, and go, this is what we want. This is what we want. Keep bugging them. And that now is the time to do that. Because if you don't do that, nothing's going to get done. And then there's a chance in 2 years we lose the Senate.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think it's very important to kind of stay on top of it. I also understand that it's very difficult to stay on top of it because we all have lives. We all got things going on. I choose to throw our hat in the ring with GOA and kind of, GOA won me over because a lot of things that they do that I don't have to do the footwork. They've already done it. They do the call to actions on the website. They just shoot me an email. Hey, here's what's going on. I can read it. I can look at it and go, yeah, that sounds good. Sign the petition. You know what I mean? So it is very important to stay kind of, vigilant and stay in the fight. Don't just think, oh, well, now we have the 3-ring circus and everything's going to be okay, because we all know that's not the case.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point with our email alerts. Not only that, but if you want to get in contact with your senator and congressman, we do have a form on our website. You can go in there. It takes 30 seconds to fill out. You go in, fill out. You put in your zip code. It'll pull up your senator and congressman.
Yep.
It's a pre-filled out form already, letter that you just sign your name to, and boom.
Yeah. Or you can change it if you don't really, you want to word it yourself. You can do that too, and send it off like that. So, yeah, I mean, that's been helpful for me personally, because I just don't have the amount of hours in the daytime to go hunt down a lot of stuff, like everybody else, trying to run a family and a business and a house and everything else, it takes a lot. So with being able to go onto the website and just click a few buttons, I'm good to go.
Got to keep it simple.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Well, that goes into our next segment, and that is From the Soapbox. That's where we talk about policy, our biggest frustration, gripes with the ATF and politicians, all the above. This segment is brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Use code GOA at Patriot Mobile to get 1 month free. Patriot Mobile is a freedom-based mobile service for your cell phone. They run on the same networks as the large carriers, but you can choose where you're at to get better service between all of their availability of networks that they got. So go to Patriot Mobile, use code GOA again for 1 month free. Again, thank you to Patriot Mobile for doing that. So, Michael, this is your chance to step up on your soapbox and kind of give a spicy hot topic. So what's your From the Soapbox from you?
We don't have enough time. We do not have enough time. I got so many things. I just don't know where to start. I mean, you can talk about the ATF, or we can talk about social media as a whole, or, whatever you want to talk about.
All the above. I love it all.
You love it all?
I want to hear your spice. This is your chance to be spicy, my friend.
So, How about I'll give you the ATF spice, and then I'll give you the social media spice. How's that?
Perfect.
So my soapbox for the ATF is, I think that it's a obviously an unnecessary, bloated government agency. I feel we don't need them simply because we got your local law enforcement, we got your state law enforcement, we got the FBI. We just don't need them, But they're there, and I don't believe they're ever going to go away because the government never shrinks itself down. It's just a fallacy. It'll never happen. So, being on both sides of this, being on the brick and mortar side and then being on the manufacturer side, we've seen kind of both sides of it, and for the most part, it's pretty much the same. The thing that really kind of chaps me about the ATF is their holier than thou attitude. If your I's and T's aren't crossed and dotted and all that nonsense, we're potentially going to shut you down. But we can lose all the guns we want, and nobody does anything about it. We don't hold anybody's feet to the fire. No one gets in trouble, but we're willing to shut down businesses that, have been in business for 50 years, and they're generational, right? I mean, you've got grandpa, dad, mom, grandson, son, the whole 9 yards working in this family, and they'll come in and shut it down over paperwork violations. And to me, the ATF, when you first get on with them, depending on your IOI, but typically they're real big about, we'll work with you, and for the most part, some of them will, some of the IOIs, and that's the trick. You have to find the IOIs that you can deal with, and you have to keep their number on speed dial. Hey, I have a question about this. I have a question about that. Because if you're just calling the onesie twosies in the field office, they're not going to answer your question. And if they do answer your question, they damn sure aren't going to put it in writing, because they're real big about don't put anything in writing. Now, if they get anything from you, it's in writing. But for them, they won't give you anything.
They won't give you anything in writing if you ask them a question?
Absolutely not.
So you can't. So, for example, let's just say you got a question for the ATF.
Yeah.
You call your IOI. He gives you an answer over the phone. You go, Can I get that in email?
Yeah.
And they go, no.
Chances are you're not getting it.
And then somebody comes in from the ATF and goes, hey, why'd you do this? And you're like, well, so-and-so told me. Well, where's the proof?
Yeah, you don't have any. And that's
ridiculous.
And that is on purpose. That's 100% on purpose. Because they do not want to be beholden to anything that they say to you. And the biggest issue that I have with them, other than the holier than thou, it's okay for us to lose things. It's okay for us not to have paperwork right. That's acceptable. But if you do it, we'll close you down, or potentially, right? And so besides that, it's their lack of training that really, really gets under my skin. Because, over the 15 years or so that we've been in the business having to deal with the ATF, we've had, different IOIs. And for the most part, to be fair, we've had some really solid ones, really solid guys, and most of them are ex-military of some sort, most of them. The ones that you really run into problems with are the ones that have never been in the gun business, don't understand the gun business, but somebody has given them this power, and they come in there and they just go ballistic, and they do all kinds of crazy things. And the training, you can ask one IOI, during your inspection, hey, what about this? Or they reprimand you and they give you a little slap on the hand and say, hey, look, I know you've been doing it like that. This isn't right. I want you to do it like this. Okay, not a problem. I'll do it like that. But then when you get your next IOI out, because usually they rotate them, you don't ever really get the same one, they'll tell you, well, why are you doing it like this? Well, because my last inspection, I was told I had to do it like that. Oh, that's ridiculous. You don't have to do it like that. Or that's wrong. Don't do it like that. And it's like, well, wait a minute, though. You guys told me to do it like that. And then it goes back to, you have anything in writing? Nope. So
that's nuts.
the way it is, though. And their lack of consistent training, it causes a lot of these issues. If they had just a straight across the board training, but they don't. Usually what they'll do is they'll, I'm an IOI, I've served some time, whatever, I've done my field duties or whatever. They'll pull me and send me to the training unit, and then I go train. But the way I've been doing it in the field, the way I was trained to do it, I teach that. But then you go later and then you teach the way you've been, taught to do it. And they're different. So then you end up with this conflict of that's not how it's supposed to be done. So that's kind of my biggest gripe about them.
Well, I did have a question for you guys, and I don't think I've ever asked you this, but being that you guys were on a border state during Fast and Furious, do you have any ATF officers come in and say, just transfer it to somebody, anything shady?
We had a few questionable things, but nothing directly that we could tie to that. No. Our biggest thing with that was with the Fast and the Furious was after that happened, Obama and them said, put a lot of pressure on the financial institutions. So they called loans and they closed accounts. You're in the gun business, and it didn't matter what it was. You're in the gun business, we're closing you down, as far as the banking. So, yeah, I mean, we every now and then you'd have something come in, but if you're doing it long enough, you kind of start picking up on a few things, and you're, just your normal average guy or woman comes in and starts talking to you about things, and it's just kind of a normal conversation, right? But then every now and then you'd get one, and you're like, this is just off. Nothing, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't sound right. There's something just really goofy. And then at that point, you just decide, I'm not selling them anything. I'm not transferring them anything. I'm not selling them anything. I'm just not going to deal with it. Now, most of the time, maybe that's just being paranoid, but I'd rather be paranoid and keep my business than give them any ammunition to put me out of business,
Do they call anything on you for loans wise?
As a matter of fact, I had Washington Mutual for about 15 years or something. And then Chase bought them out. And then when Chase got pressure from the administration to start calling all the gun shops and closing up their loans and whatnot like that. Yeah, we got caught up in that. And they closed not only our business loans, they closed all our personal accounts as well. Said no, they didn't do business with us anymore.
So, wait a minute. They closed your business accounts and your personal?
So if my name or anything was attached to it, it got closed. And it was just because we were in the gun business. Yeah.
Because you're doing something that's a constitutionally given right, they closed both your personal and business loans.
Yep.
That's insane.
All the accounts. Anything that was an account got closed.
So here's my biggest issue with that. We talk about we've talked about the ATF and their zero tolerance policy that they're going after FFLs for small mistakes. And you brought up the IOIs. It's different between each one. But then we talk about financial institutions, and they're just trying to find ways to close gun stores.
Absolutely.
And by closing gun stores, we've talked about it on the show before, is the brick and mortar gun stores. I'm not talking about like big box store retailers. I'm talking about brick and mortar like you guys.
Yeah, mom and pop.
The mom and pop is the lifeblood of the industry. It's where people start off and get into this and do this, and those are the shops you can go to and have conversations and learn stuff. And I've been to some of the old mom and pop shops where there's still a pot of coffee in the corner, and there's three guys that's all they do all day. They go down to the gun shop, they drink coffee, they sit around and talk all day, and that's how it used to be. And that was fantastic. I've been to those shops. I've sat in those shops. I've enjoyed my time at those shops because you learn from the old timers. You learn from the young guys. You got the guys behind the counter. It becomes friends and family. And they're trying to shut those down.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's ridiculous. It's only because, unlike, like you said, the mom and pop shops, they're making enough money to get by or live comfortably.
Barely, yeah.
And the brick and mortars, they've got enough lawyers to the big brick and mortars, the big box stores have enough lawyers and corporate entities behind them that they can just go, yeah, you can.
Yeah, and you can see those stories all the time where, the ATF will raid some big store and it's quickly shut down. Not the store, the raid. It's like, no, you pack up and you boys go home. But if they raid, mom and pops, mom and pops going out of business,
That's insane. I mean, listen, a lot of people see the attack on the gun shops from the ATF and gun control by shutting down. I mean, we've seen it in the past. We were talking to somebody that cities are now suing gun shops out of business as public health nuisances.
Yeah.
And public, nuisances. It's insane to think that they can just sue rights away or take rights away because, how hard is it and we've seen the big box stores bend a knee. But so you shut down all this mom and pops, right? And then the big box store in the area just goes, you know what? I'm going to bend my knee. I'm going to pull everything. The big W pulls all the guns off the wall,
Yeah.
Then where do people get their stuff from?
Well, but that's typically by design, right? I'm not taking your rights away. I didn't say you couldn't own a gun, but I'll make it so hard for you to even find a gun. I get what I want anyway, but I didn't have to take your Second Amendment from you. I didn't have to write any laws. I didn't have to do anything fancy. I just make it so expensive for you that you can't defend yourself. You give up anyway, because at the end of the day, we all have a breaking point, right? You're like, hey, I got wife, I got kids, I got this, I got that. I can't just sit around and fight the government all day. They got all the money they need, so, and one of the tactics they use is they suck up your bank account, they close it, so you can't even get to your funds to defend yourself. And that's typically how they do it, get their gun control without having to change any laws.
And that's the sad part. It's just insane to go, and you're right. They're making it so hard, so costly, and the pain with the FFLs. I mean, we were talking to a friend the other day. He just got his FFL. He's a content creator, and he had done the ATF came to go do his paperwork to get him all signed up and get his FFL going. And they're like, well, you've done 90 transfers in the last year. We're going to come talk to you anyways.
Yeah.
Cool. I like guns. I do content creation. Well, what were we going to talk about?
Yeah.
Well, you did 90, 44, 73. So I can do as many as I want. Yeah. Where's the law that says I can't do it?
And that goes into the whole, they claim they don't have a registry and maybe, and I think some of that's some wordplay, right? Oh, we don't have a registry. Nonsense, you don't. Because I've been around long enough to where they wanted everything on paper, right? Every transaction you did was written down. And when the digital books came around, when it first happened, they didn't want you messing with a digital book. They wanted it in paper. But then somebody over there, one of the computery kind of guys said, hey, wait a minute. If we have them upload everything to the cloud, I can get it for you. I'll make your book. Don't worry about it. And it's not a registry. It's just a way maybe you could look up John because John's done 90 transfers. You could just look at that if you wanted to without any warrant, without anything. You're just hitting some buttons, right? I'm just, oh, well, yeah, give me anybody with this name that lives in this town, in this little area, and give me all that information, So do I have proof that they do it like that? No, but I know they do it like that just because I'm not stupid.
Oh, we know. We had working at a shop in Ohio, and we had an audit like you normally do, and the guy comes up with two of our best customers. These guys are just diehard gun guys.
Yeah,
form stacks about this high. They buy a lot.
Yeah,
but that's all they do. That's their hobby. They had three of these stacks of these guys who buy all these guns. They're like, we're taking these. And they're like, No, you're not. These are not supposed to leave. Well, these guys did a bunch of transfers. Yeah, they're our best customers. All right, we'll be in contact with them. And they left. Well, one of them was a lieutenant for the Columbus PD.
Yeah.
And he gets a call from the ATF. This is one of my favorite stories because I love how he did this. Gets a call from the ATF. Hey, we need you to come downtown and come talk to us. All right, I'll be there. Shows up in a squad car. Calls the officer. Yeah, I'm here. Okay, where are you? Out front. Come meet me out front. He was, I don't know where I'm going. Come meet me out front. Out front, he's got the squad car there. ATF officer goes, okay, well, what can I do for you? He goes, you can turn around. You broke the law. You're not supposed to take those forms. You're not supposed to do anything with that. You know better than that. So we're going to play this game. Either you're going to go with me in the squad car and I'm going to arrest you, or we can drop this right now and you can go back in your office. And the ATF officer goes, we're done here. Bye.
Yeah, have a nice day. Yeah. Yeah, they don't like it when you do stuff like that. But I don't know, man. That's kind of where we're at on that.
It's definitely the rules for thee and not for me kind of mentality.
Yeah, and that's that holier than thou thing. And that definitely bothers me greatly. So
we got about 10 more minutes. You want to touch on your social media?
Sure, yeah, we can touch on social media. Yeah, we can do it. We can spice it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you want to go with that?
Whatever you.
Oh, well, I mean, as far as the social media thing goes, and we've all seen it, now look, if you partake in, recreational drugs, that's on you. That it doesn't affect me as long as you don't bother me. I don't really care. Do what you want to do. Right. But as of today, right, marijuana is federally illegal.
Yeah.
Federally. Okay. And it's also not a constitutional right, for you to get high. It's just not. I guess you maybe somebody's screaming, yes, yeah, I can. Okay, fine. You can get high. I don't care. But I'm not allowed as a gun manufacturer or dealer, I'm not allowed to advertise on these social media platforms, right? I can't boost a post on Instagram or YouTube or any of that kind of stuff. I can't do it. But I don't know maybe 12, 18 months ago, I started getting ads for weed. It's like, I got these THC gummies and, now you can sit around and get high. So I'm not really up to date on my drug language, right? But I'm like, well, wait a minute. That's federally illegal. So how is it that they're able to advertise, but I'm not allowed to advertise? So I have a federally legal business, right? But I can't advertise, but these guys can. It makes no sense to me. And It makes me absolutely bonkers. And I'm not I'm not like the first guy to go, oh, well, the government needs to do X, Y, or Z. But in this particular situation, for everybody across the board, because to me, it's discrimination, right? You can't not rent your house to somebody because of their race, their creed, or whatever, right? You can't do it legally. So why is it that they're allowed to say, well, we don't like your business, us blue hairs sitting in here in the, office in San Francisco or whatever. We don't like your business, so you can't advertise. And even with Instagram, I've even gone to the mat with Instagram and said, if we wanted to advertise just like Cerakote, right? Hey, we'll paint your firearm for you. In their whatever, what do they call it there?
Terms of service.
Yeah, terms of service. I went and dug it up. It says right here, yeah, I can do this. It says right here, I can do this. Can't do guns, can't do knives, can't do blah, blah, blah. But I can advertise this part of it. And I'd send it to them. And they'd run it up their flagpole supposedly, and nothing would ever happen. They would always just shut me down and say, no, you can't do it. So it doesn't really matter if you can or you can't. It depends on who's in the office and whether or not they want you to do it or not. But it drives me absolutely bonkers that the discrimination against firearm dealers and manufacturers is allowed to happen. And I don't care who's in office. I don't care, if if they're a Democrat or Republican and independent, I don't really care. The issue is you have this happening to American businesses and no one's doing a damn thing about it. But if I want to advertise my weed, that's fine.
That's insane. And you're absolutely right. You know, federally, weed is illegal. It's all been pushed back to the states. And even at the state level, if the federal government wants to go in, they can go and just go, okay, cool, this is our cash now.
Yeah.
But the Second Amendment is like, it's a constitutionally given right.
Yeah.
And for them to just go, and we've seen it, we've heard it from people like, yeah, it's in your terms of service. Like, I can't do this, but I can do this. Well, no, you can't. Well, what it says right here, I got into an argument with TikTok at one point about something. I got into an argument with Instagram about something. My favorite, it's even funnier. Like YouTube, I know content guys will save their monetization fighting until the weekend because they know it's some guy in India who doesn't care and just hits a button. Yeah, that's good with me, and goes. It all depends on who you get and where they stand, and that's insane. If you're going to have company policies in terms of service, you should be able. They should follow it, but it all depends on the person and their personal beliefs.
Yeah.
Instead of over the company beliefs, and they'll go and argue with you because they believe you're wrong and they're right. It's just.
Yeah, and I've also gotten them back from Instagram saying that, you know, well, we did this because when you run it up the flagpole and tell them, hey, you know, no, you guys are wrong, I'm right, here's why, you'll get, you know, a little message back from them. And it says something to the degree of you did something that is, illegal or controlled in, you know, X, Y, and Z, and we follow world policies or some nonsense like that. And I'm like, well, okay, that's all fine and everything. If China, if it's illegal to own a gun in China, fine. Just don't show my content in China, and I don't really give a damn anyway. However, you're an American company, and you do business in America. So you need to follow our Constitution and our beliefs, not what somebody else in some other damn country that makes no difference to anybody, especially in the firearms world. I don't care what another country allows or doesn't allow. You're an American company doing business in America with Americans. So deal with it. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's my thing. I laugh every time they do this. I've had conversations with YouTube, and I've talked to people who've had conversations with YouTube, and even Instagram and stuff like that. They claim like, oh, we can't control where the content is shown, or we can't control where the advertising goes to. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You just don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. If YouTube goes tomorrow and goes to you and goes, hey, for $1,000, I'll run 30 of your ads on the top gun content.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm in.
Yeah.
But they claim, oh no, we can't figure out where the ads are just organically put on different things. We can't subjugate them by content. I go, what do you mean you can't subjugate them by content? That's ridiculous. Yes, you can. You can do that. You just choose not to.
Yeah, they absolutely
can.
Same
thing with this. I know, like Instagram and stuff. For Instagram and Meta, when you pay for an advertisement, you can go by zip code, an area. But they don't want to. Oh no! Well, you're right, but since we have this world policy, this is where I want to advertise at. Oh well, our world policy says otherwise. That's ridiculous.
Well, it's also the amount of money that they get from the other countries, and if they want to do business in those other countries, i.e. China, they're going to bend the knee to those countries, and like TikTok, for instance, Chinese company, right? They're owned by China, whether you like it or not. The TikTok that they feed our kids here, right, is not the same TikTok that the Chinese kids are watching. The TikTok that those kids are getting is educational and wholesome, if you will, whereas the stuff we get is stupid dances and ignorant stuff and kids eating Tide Pods, So we have got to get our stuff together and realize that we're not playing on level playing ground, number one. And number two, these other countries that they're bending the knee to don't like us. They don't want us. They don't believe in anything we believe in. However, they're paying them enough money for them to say, okay, this is how I want to do things.
Yeah, and that's blows my mind. It does. It's just crazy to think that. Yeah, I'm lost of words on this nonsense. Well, now that we've gotten our heated spiciness out, Michael, I appreciate you again for being on. Go ahead and plug away on where people can find you, social media, website, all that other fun stuff.
They can just go to coxarmsusa.com. We'll get you to the website. Cox Arms USA will get you like our Instagram and things like that, so you can plug that away. We're excited to be here, and we're happy that y'all had us. And as a matter of fact, I think we've put together a little dealer packet for any of the GOA members that are dealers. We have like a little special dealer packet specifically for them. So, yeah, we're happy, man. Anything we can do to help out the community, we're willing to do it.
Yeah, if you are a GOA Caliber Club or GOA member who is a dealer, go ahead and reach out to Michael. Take advantage of that package. These guns are very well made. They're going to do well for you guys. Highly, highly well. I'm getting a single for your wife. Where are you at on X?
I have no idea. Same thing, I'm told.
Same thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The social media stuff is not my it's not my wheelhouse.
It's not your cup of tea.
It's fine.
You like to sit in the back row. I know, because I've been into the shop.
Yeah.
He likes to sit in the back room and get his drawings, all his engineering done.
Get my crayons out and have lunch and draw pretty pictures.
Yeah, he is eating the crayons.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, orange is my favorite.
Before anybody says anything, Michael is a Marine, so we gotta make that
crayon eater.
Crayon eater. We just had there's some coffee downstairs. I gotta show you guys. It's really good crayon eater coffee. Oh, it's really good. He was on here, Cameron from Devil Dog Concepts. That's his coffee brand. But yeah, again, Michael, I appreciate you being on, taking the time to come out here and talk to us.
Absolutely.
Guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell for notification, leave a 5-star review on all podcasting hosts, and we'll see you on the next one.